The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily.
It really feels like the cat with the laser pointer. It's like you led the cat up to the top of the building and now you're leading it over the edge.
President Trump is rebalancing trade around the world and making things more fair for the American people.
I think that anytime the deep state can like over-capitalize in whatever situation they have, they're going to.
But the rest of it is a very well-organized and well-funded color revolution operation of the type they run all over the world again and again and again to destabilize entire society.
Echoes carried on the wind. We stepped into a moment where a nation would begin. Powder smoke and rising banners, voices ringing through the flame. We rode the currents of tomorrow, found the dawn of freedom's flame. Raise the flame of revolution, let the old world hear us roar. Freedom rise on every heartbeat, marching louder than before. From the Delaware to glory, soft disclosure.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily. Alpha's actually going to be here. Apparently, there's a link issue, so we're going to get that squared away here. But can't do it when I'm going live, buddy. That's why you got to be 5 minutes early, homie. But he'll be here in a second. And in the meantime, we will go through our sponsors so I can get him over a link, which hasn't changed in 3 years, but that's okay. All right, guys. I hope everybody's rocking today. Uh-oh. He's sending me the 404 errors now. What are we going to take bets on he's not home yet and he's just kind of throwing out the excuses. I'm going to go with that. We're going to give him a hard time because he's not here in the meantime. But yeah, let's go ahead and start out today with our soft disclosure ad so that I can get this squared away. And promo code Muffin, hit it. I did not know that until, well, I don't know it technically until 2 p.m. today because Badlands Book Club was pre-recorded, but I didn't know it until yesterday when we did the ad for Badlands Book Club. So here we go.
One hero, one mission, to deliver softness to America.
No, Chi-Chi, we can't stop for snacks, dude. We have to deliver all of these soft disclosure gift cards.
He goes by Zach Payne.
The motion detector.
Hey, stop fighting over the beer brush.
Life finds a way.
Hydrate your elbows, moisturize your soul.
Muffin, hit it. All right, softdisclosure.com, promo code Muffin, hit it. I think you can also use promo code Badlands still. That one is actually still available, but Muffin, hit it. And all the Easter eggs in those videos. It's just awesome to see them. And notice, he's still not here. I sent him the link at the very, very beginning of that, and he's still not here, which tells me that he's actually just running a little bit late. And that's kind of like the excuse, like I've done it before. You make the excuses. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. And you're like, dude, I sent you the directions last night, right? Link hasn't changed in 3 years, but we're going to give him shit. We got to make sure we give him a lot of stuff. All right, guys. Let's also talk about our friends over at Goldco. It's officially a new era for gold and silver. Gold has broken $5,000 an ounce, and silver has surged past $100. In 2025 alone, gold jumped 64%, while silver skyrocketed 150%. With political and economic uncertainty ahead, 2026 could bring even bigger moves. After such a historic run, a pullback is normal. Metals move fast, so some consolidation is expected, but top analysts are still calling for even higher prices. We've seen the first bank failure of 2026, regulators shutting down the Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust in Chicago. Could more follow? It's no surprise. Americans are pulling money from banks and turning to the proven protection of gold and silver. Big news. Goldco is celebrating America's 250th anniversary with a limited time bonus. Get up to 10% free gold or silver, plus free storage and a free home safe with a qualifying cash purchase. The offer won't last, so act now. Are we seeing the early signs of another 2008 style crisis? Don't wait for the next shoe to drop. Protect your wealth with precious metals, because in uncertain times, gold and silver shine the brightest. Visit badlandsgold.com today for your free 2026 gold and silver kit and bonus buy. Again, that's badlandsgold.com. And on that note, 10 out of 10 recommend watching Book Club today at 2 p.m. Because we do talk a lot about the fiat currency and the fractional rate reserve, as well as commodities-based currency. And it's actually a really interesting, not just chapter, but also the discussions that Ash and I kind of have on the sidebar about this chapter. Really interesting, and a testament to why I bought a lot of silver a few years back, and am very, very pleased with that purchase. Okay, let's double check on Alpha and see what the heck's going on there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the show. Smash that thumbs up if you have not done so already. He says he's getting the same error. I don't believe it, guys. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Maybe his computer got hacked. Maybe I'm not going to go there. It's too early for that. All right. So from Chuck Grassley, Biden DOJ personnel exposed classified materials, while special counsel Jack Smith prosecuted Trump for classified materials. Oh, Chuck Grassley, you're the same age as Mitch McConnell. I think he's actually older than Mitch McConnell. I think he is. I think is Chuck Grassley older than Mitch McConnell? I think he is older. Yes, Chuck Grassley is older than Mitch McConnell. As of 2026, Chuck Grassley is 92. 92. Wow. 92. That means he has an incredible staff around him, because at 92, I don't know that he's doing all this legwork himself, but all right, hold on. Let's do this again. Okay, so I'm going to have to give it to Alpha. This is not his fault. I'm going to have to blame this one on Miss Storm, if you're out there. Whoever set the stream up did not do so in my room.
And so I cannot blame Alpha for this one, guys. You're off the hook. I am fair in my assessments, unlike Alpha. But I'm trying to think. All right, so he'll be here in a second, and we cannot blame this one on Alpha. Why am I? Stand by, guys. 2 seconds here. Uh-oh. I'm getting yelled at. I can see the typing is coming in. All right, so jumping back into this story. It says messages obtained by U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. Actually, maybe we should just stall until he gets here, because I'm sure he's going to have some things to say about this. I'm sure. Whatever. Messages obtained by the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman, Chitty Merriman, too many C words, Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, show that personnel at DOJ, including personnel assigned to Jack Smith's special counsel office. Oh, my goodness. This, I gotta potentially mishandled classified materials themselves amid Smith's own investigation into President Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents. The messages provided by DOJ in response to Grassley's oversight request reveal that, number one, an individual was given access to classified materials without any confirming that they had requisite need to know. Number two, there was at least one instance where classified materials housed in a DOJ SCIF were unaccounted for. And then this is the craziest one. This is absolutely insane. A violation and incident occurred when a SCIF accessible to SCO personnel was left open at least overnight and potentially longer. Now, it doesn't say what was in the SCIF. So whether or not there was, I'm not going to assume what was in the SCIF. But holy crap, imagine prosecuting a president of the United States, former president, right, of the United States, for classified documents, which we're not going to unhash this, but they weren't classified. If he took them home, they weren't classified. And then the whole time that's going on, your own office is violating classified laws around classified handling of classified documents. Then on top of that, you look at all the other stuff. Joe Biden, classified documents. Mike Pence, classified documents. John Bolton, classified documents. What does classified documents even mean if people are just allowed to take them whenever they want? And I don't mean allowed to as in like they're allowed to take them, but they take them and there's no repercussions for it, right? John Bolton's going to get a slap on the wrist. I think he's going to get a $2 million fine. That's not exactly a slap on the wrist, but it's all going to happen. So, all right. So we're going to pause here for just a second. I have to apologize. Okay. Kind of. It's a half apology. It was not the same link, and I have no clue why it was not the same link. I'm assuming when I got in this morning and my show was already set up for me that they used a different room and not the normal room that I use. However, everything else is the same in this room. All of my clips and everything are all the same. So I have no idea what's going on with StreamYard. I really hope that I don't have to learn a whole new room. Oh, I do have to learn a whole new room. I just got the message from Jessica. I had to recreate your reusable studio when something canceled. But there's been no problem so far. Well, that's because everybody else has access to this StreamYard. Alpha's the only one that doesn't because he's not special enough.
I'm not special enough. That ain't right, man. That ain't right. I was sitting over here thinking, like, did something go wrong with my freaking
I was dogging you so hard too, bro.
Dude, I'm like, what the heck? I a new browser window, restarted the entire computer, which that's a pain when you have everything set up for your other stuff. So I've lost all that stuff. But it is what it is. We're here. It's working.
Yeah.
I'm good. Save this link.
The room's the same. The only bad thing is I knew the old, like I could type in, like if I'm inviting somebody to the room, I could type in StreamYard.com/ and I knew the fixture that came after. right? I knew the sequence of numbers that came after. So I didn't have to go into StreamYard to invite people. I could just type the URL out to people. And so that was a huge perk. This one is brand new, so I'm going to have to learn it again. But yeah, so I was blaming you, but at the same time, I also should have been notified that my room was changed, because it doesn't. The only way I would ever know is if I invite somebody to the room through here. Also,
and for the record, folks, I sent it early, just so you guys know.
No, you did not. You sent it at 10 a.m. You sent it at
didn't.
your first text message was at 10 a.m.
No, it was like 4 minutes too, bro.
No, your first. Wait, hold on. No, your first text message.
I called you at 10 a.m.
No, your link isn't working today at 10 a.m. on the dot. Link isn't working 404 era, and then link at 10:01.
Oh, you got that late because I actually called you at 10. I called you at 10 a.m.
That's
your
horse
time.
crap. That's horse crap. I'm not apologizing for that.
No,
I'm going to set a new rule. My co-hosts have to be here 5 minutes prior now. Thanks to Alpha, everybody's got to be here. It's the Marine Corps, baby.
No. Just inform of the change, baby. Inform of the change.
It's back in the Marine Corps, baby. When one person screws it up, everybody has to suffer. If one person's late, now everybody's got to be here.
Well,
10
technically,
minutes.
it's the grenade theory where you have to make everybody supposed to suffer around me, and I just get to watch and laugh. I felt bad back then, but I would definitely laugh this time.
Okay, Gomer Pyle. Everybody else watch Alpha eat the donut. Everybody watch Alpha eat the donut. All right, so how you doing, brother?
Mentalities have changed. But yes, back into the news.
I got a bone to pick with you, by the way. But we could get back into the news first. So here we go. Chuck Grassley, we were talking about Jack Smith. Have you seen this story?
Yes, I have.
What's your take on it? Because we kind of went through the story here. Basically, people getting access to need to know that they weren't in the need to know. It looks like people handling classified information that shouldn't have been, like the material went unaccounted for. And then I think the most egregious one is leaving the skiff open overnight with,
I didn't see that part.
Oh, yeah. Number three
the
here.
other part. I didn't see the part about the skiff.
Number 3 is a quote unquote violation and incident occurred when a skiff accessible to SCO personnel was left open at least overnight and potentially longer.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
So, well, I mean, there's a lot of heat coming down for this guy. I'll share what I can share. We potentially could see Jack Smith dragged into a human trafficking investigation that ties back to judges and other attorneys. So I would imagine that either that case is going to get leveraged against him for cooperation in this case, or this case is going to get leveraged against him for cooperation in that one. I don't know which one that they're gonna see as priority, but he's in trouble. But this is one of those things where this is the guy that was prosecuting the president.
Yeah,
and
for the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, over classified material. So the one person that should absolutely know better is this guy. And so this goes back to, John Bolton, right? When he says, this is something, I forget what his exact quote was, but he was saying the same thing, talking about classified material, and they got weaponized against him in all those videos that came out. Same thing's going to happen here. Jack Smith is going to get prosecuted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you talk? Well, you're talking about for something other than the classified stuff right here.
I think he's going to take a hit on this one. We're getting the surface level reporting here, but if they know that the skiff was open for more than a day, Jack Smith ain't the one that told us that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. I see what you're saying.
That means there's information that developed from someone that provided this. So that means somebody is already providing information, through whatever it is, through cooperation, through whistleblower. Somebody provided that. So that means an investigation has already started at some point. So I see charges coming down the pipeline for him on this.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, the way this thing's worded is kind of interesting. Let me zoom in a little bit for folks that like to read along, because I know people like to read along. It says a skiff that was accessible to SCO personnel, meaning that special counsel office, SCO. SCO personnel was left open at least overnight. So it doesn't mean that it was the one that SCO was using. I mean, they might most likely were using, but it wasn't designated specifically for SCO. So this was just a generalized skiff. When you're dealing with already a politicized and weaponized prosecution in going after President Trump, when something like that happens, there has to be a higher level of scrutiny when you're looking at that. Was this deliberately done? What was left in that skiff overnight? Was surveillance up and working, or was it, like the Epstein cameras or the body cam footage on the rooftop that just happens to go out at the most critical moments? There's a lot of questions that should be answered about this. And, good.
I think when they created that forward office for him from where they were operating out of, they probably created a skiff specifically for maybe him and one or other person that had his personnel around them, other people that didn't have access to it. And it was, and I mean, it reads like a whistleblower, provided that information. This one right here.
Well, and our roadie brings up the best point. Did they do a sweep after they found out it had been left open? That's a huge point. Because, I mean, skiff is supposed to be sterile.
There's a protocol.
Right. And if we're just finding out about this now, if this Judiciary Committee is just finding out about this now, did they try and sweep that under the rug? Did they try and let that slide by? Is it deliberately left open so the bad actor could go in there and plant a device and have, insight into what's coming down? It's really, that's not good, man. This is not a good look, especially when you spent 3 years going after President Trump for legally and lawfully taking home unclassified documents because he can't incriminate himself under the Fifth Amendment. And if he had that authority, it's presumed that he executed that authority. Anything else on that?
No, we're good.
So let's jump into this. This is kind of an interesting story. So we get the birthright citizenship ruling. Trump is, the DOJ is requesting a rehearing on that, rightfully so. I think that's the biggest. I think that is the biggest decision that they messed up on. And I think, well, maybe NRSC versus FEC might have longer implications. But so as they're requesting a rehearing, we get this from Fox yesterday.
NRC versus FSC. FEC. Which one was that? I'm not sure.
We'll go over because we're going to talk about it specifically in regards to Graham Platner. So we'll go over that again. I think that was the biggest case that nobody's talking about, I should say. All right. So here is a Texas hospital, Mission Regional MC in Texas, putting up signs to have your baby born in Texas, in Mexico.
Billboards. You can pay $3,950 if you want to have birth naturally, make your child a U.S. citizen.
Are you kidding?
Your foreign board C-section, $5,525. I spoke with Ken Paxton on this, and he showed me pictures where there are houses in Texas that look residential. So it could be your neighbor's house, and you go inside the house, and there are rows of bassinets where Chinese women are coming, giving birth to a child, then going back to the Chinese Communist Party, educating their child there, and they have U.S. citizenship, which could amount to more than 1 million new voters in this country over time.
Only a stupid nation would allow this to happen. They also have a website, havemybabyintexas.com. By the way, this big border advertisement right there is miles away from the border. So their audience are people that are crossing back and forth. And by the way, if you think it's just Mexicans, no, that's just a checkpoint right there. People are traveling from all across the world to come to Mexico to go pregnant. They could have their baby here in the state of Texas. And, as a result of that, their kids are going to be American citizens. Congress has to codify this law.
Almost like they were watching Daily last week.
When we were talking about that, the Chinese birther tourism, the guy that's sending sperm over and has over 100 surrogates throughout the country. Yeah. It's dangerous, man. Like that is a hospital. And by the way, there needs to be a full investigation into that hospital now. How much money is that hospital receiving from the federal government? Cut it off. Cut it off.
What NGOs are operating in Mexico that paid for the billboard and that are helping these people out?
Yeah, it says the hospital is named Mission Regional MC on well, they're on Instagram, Mission Regional. The website Have My Baby in Texas is now taken down. That is no longer up. So there's that. Brooke Taylor put this out on, and by the way, I want to give a hat tip to that was Eric Daugherty that put that video out and put the Trump post. Actually, let's read the Trump post. It is today is going to be a short show because I do have the trial that I'm live streaming as well. So it won't be that long of a show. Signs and billboards are being put up all over the southern border of Mexico advertising birthright citizenship with delivery starting at $4,000. Likewise, similar signs going up all over our country. Billions of dollars will be illegally made by this scam with citizenship going to anyone willing to pay. It will be by far the number one way to become a citizen, and then the entire family will be allowed to follow. Not sustainable. Nobody saw this coming. American citizenship is not for sale. In fact, that is a crime, and therefore the Supreme Court's ruling is wrong. I'll be asking for a rehearing by the United States Supreme Court immediately. This miscarriage of justice will destroy America if they don't change their absolutely insane decision. Thank you for your attention. This matter, Donald J. Trump. Exactly right. Exactly right.
And I did learn something with this. I didn't know you could have a rehearing with the Supreme Court.
Yes, within 25 days, I think it is. You have to request a rehearing.
Never knew that. I thought once the Supreme Court made that decision, it's
no, and it only takes one justice in the majority to agree. And so we've got Barrett and
now, is this in any Supreme Court case or something where it's at the direction of the
no, any Supreme Court decision. I think it's 25. It might be 40 days, but I'm pretty sure it's 25 days to rehear it. You have one justice from the majority, just one, that has to agree to rehear it.
We have to be pushing close to that. When
no, from when the decision's read.
Okay.
So we're only like a week and a half in. So we're probably like 10 days. It was before July 4th, right? Yeah.
Here,
I'll
look it up.
It was last Tuesday. June 30th. It was the last day.
Okay.
It was June 30th. It was the last day of this session. So they've got a little bit of time, but they've got to work on either Barrett or Roberts. And that's, the only shot that they have there.
2 weeks. We're at what? 10 days? So
yeah.
15 more days.
Yeah. So, let's see. Mission Regional put out a statement. That's what I wanted to read. So let me share this real quick. Mission Regional Medical Center is committed to providing high quality, compassionate healthcare and expanding access to care for the communities we serve, like hospitals across the country and throughout the region. We share information about the healthcare system services that we provide. We do not support or facilitate any unlawful activity and work to comply with all applicable federal and state laws and regulations. The marketing materials regarding maternity services are no longer in use due to an unintended misunderstanding. An unintended misunderstanding? You bought a fucking billboard in Mexico. And I'm sorry, I've been trying not to swear on this show, but that's a warranted F-bomb. You bought a billboard in Mexico. Man. All right. So where do we move on to from here? Since I brought up the Supreme Court stuff.
And they priced it in USD, not pesos.
Yeah, that's a great point. Point.
Please explain the mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, how much money do coyotes make off of that, right? As a side bet, like getting the people over here, like, oh, you want to go have your baby at this place? Well, that's a highly contested route because they know that people are going to be moving in that direction. So it's going to be a little bit more instead of, $5,000-$10,000 per person. It's going to be $20,000 or, whatever, there's a huge inflation to bring first and foremost a pregnant woman who's about to give birth, bring them across the border and take them to a place, that has a known risk. Why is my phone ringing? It's been a nightmare for me. My credit card's like going crazy. Like, is this fraud? Because I bought something in the Villages. I helped pay for my stepdad's but the reception, and they canceled it. And they're like, I was on the phone for 20 minutes last night. I was on the phone for 20 minutes this morning, and now I'm getting all these calls from all these places. It's so stupid. So let's get into the NRSC versus FEC, because I mentioned that. So NRSC versus FEC basically said that political parties have the First Amendment right to free speech. Money is free speech. So much in line with Citizens United back in 2012 that gave corporations unfettered access to campaigns and political action committees and super PACs in terms of how much they can donate. Basically, Microsoft can go in and give $1 billion to a pro-Biden super PAC, and that's legal.
That's
right?
bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Can an entity vote? No.
And is that entity composed of equal-minded people who all agree with how that entity is representing them as a part of that entity? So in other words, imagine if and I'm just using Badlands as an example. Imagine if John went out there and was like, I'm giving $10,000 to this campaign, and most of us are like, yo, we hate that. And John does it anyways, and it's on behalf of Badlands Media. So now we're branded as Badlands Media with, that. And I'm not saying it's a terrible example, but that's kind of the concept there. That was Citizens United. Now it's even worse. Now political parties can directly engage with individual campaigns and give them as much money as they want for marketing campaigns, get out the vote information, voter roll access, grassroots, like go out and canvas type stuff. It's insane. So, I mean, in my opinion, both Citizens United now and NRSC should be repealed, but I mean, it just got decided on, so that's not going to happen. And I think we're seeing the first case of NRSC kind of getting an idea of it being utilized. I want to play. So Graham Platner, the Democrat senator candidate from Maine, dropped out. Okay. I don't know much about this guy. I'm going to play probably about 5 minutes of this on 1.5 speed. Okay. Because it's not like.
He's the Nazi tattoo guy that had the sexual assault allegations against him, and Wakanda and all them were still behind him.
No, they dropped him.
No, they were prior to this. These were the guys that were pushing him back when they knew that he had the Nazi affiliation still. Now they dropped him.
Look, man, you were a Marine, bro. You ever been around scout snipers?
Listen, I have.
They have Nazi tattoos.
And if it was a scout sniper tattoo, he would have came out and said it was a scout sniper tattoo.
No, it wasn't. It was the skull. Have you seen his tattoo? Have you seen what the tattoo looks like?
I seen the original. I don't know what the cover up looks like, but I know when they put up the original, it was like the skull with like lightning or something like that, or a dagger or something, if I remember correctly.
Well, let me see if
I think it didn't have like the skull with the 2 bolts, or it could have been 2 daggers. I thought it was 2 bolts for the SS.
This is the one that it was originally, I believe. But that wasn't it, because it was all blacked out. Or maybe this is when he was starting to cover it up. But that's what the tattoo was. Yeah. I'm not gonna. The Scout Snipers SS tattoo is far more egregious than that, and I don't care about that tattoo because they've branded that. And again, somebody mentioned yesterday, Kiss uses those same S's in their name. The band Kiss use those same S's in their name. So I'm not freaking out about that.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder about what?
Listen, I like Kiss, but makes you wonder.
Oh, I thought you were gonna get there, but you're not. It makes you wonder about the attacks on Graham Platner himself. And and even Trump alluded to it yesterday on Air Force One. Trump was like, it comes down to whether you believe him or whether you believe the woman. Sometimes people make big falsehoods, was Trump's exact words. I have that clip.
Oh, I'm not talking. I was talking strictly about the tattoo part. On the woman part, it's you gotta I mean, they did it to Trump. It's easy to use the sexual assault allegations to weaponize against someone when they're in politics, because it's almost seen as a nail in the coffin. No, I agree. I agree. I don't like the guy, but I still agree with that.
I don't know enough about. I mean, I don't like him just because I typically don't like Democrats, and that's about as far as my partisanship will go. Is I don't like Democrats. I don't like establishment Republicans. Outside of that, I don't know anything about this guy other than he was an enlisted Marine. I like that. And that's about it. That's all I know. But just listen to this. We'll play this for a couple minutes.
Hey everyone, it's Graham Platner here. I think as many of you know, over the past couple days, I have faced some very serious allegations, and I just want to make it clear. This is all false. The things that have been claimed did not happen. It's not real. It has placed an immense amount of weight on me as I think about what needs to happen now. Amy and I are regular people. We were not looking for this experience. We were not looking to get into politics. We had no desire to run for office. I just want you to think about like what you would do as a regular person in a position where a much larger world, large forces, were working against you personally to accuse you of the worst thing that a person could do, and it was not remotely true. I learned about this through press inquiries with no time to truly respond, no time for investigations before a corporate media system and the political establishment got to act as judge, jury, and executioner. Accusations are supposed to be the beginning of things, not the end. I think it's really important to understand why this is happening in the timeline, why this is happening right now, much like October when the first attack started, much like the news that was created the week before the primary. There is a reason that this is happening now. I only have until July 13th until I am officially the nominee. This was the last week to try to get me off of the ballot. And that's why this is occurring. It's not the false allegations, though, that have brought us to where we are. It's the fact that they're being used by the political establishment to put structural pressure on us. We live in a political system that is not built for normal people. It is a system that is built structurally to make sure that movements like ours cannot flourish. That if they begin to succeed, they can be crushed.
All right, we can land that there. It goes on for another 8 minutes. It's actually worth giving it a listen to. Now, again, obviously,
listen, man, it's almost like you play that one side by side, the Eric Swalwell, and it sounds like the same shit.
No.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not. Nobody would ever mistake. Look, you might not like the guy.
You can't defend a guy you don't know. You just said you don't know him, so you can't defend a guy you don't know.
I know enough about Eric Swalwell's policies and how long he's been in politics. I don't know anything about Platner.
Who are the people that got behind Platner? You know them.
Yeah.
Are they going to promote a guy that's against their ideology?
Well, so Bernie Sanders is one of them. He was the last one, and I've never been a Burn bro. But a lot of Burn bro got
Bernie Sanders is a piece of shit, bro.
Of course he is. But a lot of Burn bros, the movement that he created, a lot of them backed Trump in 2020 and 2016 when he was forced out of the race. And
I'm not talking about the movement. Those people we see all the time. Everybody's getting manipulated. I'm talking about the actual political figureheads. Ro Khanna, all these are the guys that got behind Platner. That alone should tell you that's like the same ones that the establishment rhinos that get behind certain GOP nominees. That tells you everything you need to know.
The establishment machine. Okay, you can name individuals like Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders. We can name individuals all day long. The establishment machine bucked against Platner. They even acknowledge it. Well, they don't acknowledge it. They push back against it. We'll get into that here in a second. My point is that NRSC, what we just ruled in Supreme Court, right now it's favorable to Republicans. Republicans have quite a bit more money than Democrats in the coffers. It's not always going to be that way, folks. It's not always going to be that way. Right now, I think. No, well, okay, maybe potentially.
But I get the point you're making. It's still not right, and it still presents a danger.
It's a pendulum, and that pendulum swings the other way at some point. It always has. That's That's the status quo. It's designed. The system itself is designed so that that happens. This is why, you have a Republican president and then a Democrat flip in the midterms, or a Democrat president and a Republican flip in the midterms. It's a balancing act to maintain the status quo. This is an entire system that is set up where we are nothing more than, the slaves of the system. We are nothing more than numbers. NRSC exacerbated that tremendously. Now the parties have all of the power. And you are watching the party. Platner is saying there, I'm not dropping out because the allegations are true or not. I am dropping out because they are cutting me off. And you cannot compete when you're cut off. And so, again, I'm not saying you have to like the guy. I'm just saying, are we watching the same thing that we watched on our side with Madison Cawthorn? An example, when he spoke out against McCarthy, they threw him, they raked him over the coals for that, destroyed him. You see that happen time and time again. Here is the Democrats' response. Well, actually, let's listen to President Trump's response about this.
As I call it, the Democrats. Democrat.
Speaking of Democrats, do you think that the Democrats should be able to pick a replacement for Graham Platner? He's had all these new allegations that have come out. Now Democrats are talking about picking a replacement for him. Should they be able to do that?
They're picking what?
A replacement for Graham Platner if he steps out of the race.
So he won the primary.
And now there's these new allegations.
It's very hard for them to do. And it's really a question of whether or not you believe the woman. A lot of people say big falsehoods. It's he's in a bind. But should they be able to do it? Well, I guess he's going to lose. I would imagine he's going to lose. It's very interesting when a Republican woman came out with the same charge, nobody believed it. When this woman came out, everybody believed it, right, Doug? Did you get any pictures of it, Doug? You don't want them. They wouldn't sell them.
So, it's going back to.
But the thing is the reason I don't add any weight, and this is not something I typically say, but the reason I don't add weight to Trump's statement here is Trump can't answer it any other way.
Why? Of course he can.
No, because of the position that they've put him in with Eugene Carroll and others. This is the only response he can give. If not, then they're going to say he's a hypocrite. If he comes out and says, nah, look at the history of, Graham Platner and look at all the stuff that surfaced, then they're going to say, oh, well, then this is how people should treat it when it comes to you. It's going to get weaponized against them. Like Trump can't, that's literally the only way that he can answer. And I'm not saying it's not a fair response, but I went and actually looked up his tattoo, and it is an identical tattoo to the Nazi shield. It's not one that's tweaked out. It's identical.
Pull it up. That's the just a quick search that I did.
Let me well, hold on. I have to go back and put in the bookmarks. I wanted to share this with you. So let me bring this one up real quick. It's only 30 seconds. I knew I saw him listen to something. Bring this up and I'll hit play.
That you see and hear from me directly. I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support. We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love.
Mark.
So you took like the most cookie cutter introduction aspects, about maybe a total of 15 seconds from each speech, and you're like, oh, they're the same person. Did Swalwell come out and blast the Democratic establishment and say that they're cutting them off from any type of access to funds or get out the vote or voter information? Did Swalwell come out and say that? Because you're not looking at substance. You're looking at the propaganda, the remarks.
That's not propaganda, bro.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes,
it's not.
If you don't believe you did it, or even if you did do it and you're trying to win a public battle, that's what you would say no matter what.
His rhythm is on
what he actually said.
His rhythm is even the same as Eric Swalwell. It's a script, bro. It's not speaking from the heart. If he would have came out, if it was me or you, I'd come out and be like, this is bullshit. This is not true. I hope that this goes to trial so we could do discovery. There's a level of anger that comes when there's a false accusation. This is absent. And again, this is still general. Not everybody all reacts the same. I get that. But here we're talking about a specific demographic, politicians or a future politicians in the political field. This is a script. He can go out and say
it's a script. He's reading a speech. That's not the clip that I shared. He's reading a speech right there. Yes, that's a PR response.
That's nearly identical to Eric Swalwell. What does that tell you?
It's nearly identical in like the 8 seconds out of the entire thing that you cut out. It's also
seconds.
a PR response that you put out. These people do have PR teams. I
And
mean,
guess
that's
what?
a given.
And when you act like the PR team, then you lose the sincerity that comes with it when you read from a script.
And then you just completely
when these allegations are made against.
Hold on. Then you completely ignore the 11-minute clip, completely deflect from what I just played, and you go back to something that when all of this began, and he was just getting out in front of a PR, blitz against him. Maybe, and again, I'm not saying one way or the other whether he did this or whether he didn't do this, whether these are orchestrated attacks because he's a threat to the Democratic establishment. I don't know, but you're playing something from that was I think that was a few weeks ago. When he said that and comparing it with like little itty bitty segments, that would be like taking a Trump speech, finding 5 words Trump strung together that align with 5 words that Obama strung together and being like, look, they're the same person.
We do it all the time on Badlands.
Alpha, that's retarded.
Then why do we do it on Badlands? Because how many times have I seen people
do that in Badlands?
How many times have I seen that line straight from a movie?
Oh, well,
so we don't take the 8 to 10 minutes of a speech, but we're going to take 20 seconds and say,
the guy is going to rail on us for quoting movies.
Well, what I'm saying is you can't say it's retarded somewhere when we deploy the same tactic. That's being a hypocrite.
You are what you just played right there, that side by side is pure propaganda. There's no substance.
Okay.
There's no substance in it.
Okay.
There's no substance.
Agree to disagree, so we don't go in a circle. But I brought up the picture for you to take a look at.
Well, so okay, that the picture in the bottom looks more like the one that I showed. I think this is probably when he's starting to fill it in.
Yeah, this is when he's starting to cover it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the same picture I just showed. Yeah.
So it's not something that's modified to look. That's an identical one, man. I mean, that's.
Yeah, but I mean, well, again, there's a lot of tattoos that are floating around our own military that have questionable backgrounds. Did he know? Like, that's all.
That's the argument I would give you. Did he know? And I would concede. And granted, his girlfriend saying, yeah, he knew. But again, that's still, do we believe her on making that statement? You know what I mean? Because then again, I also want to know, how does she know? You know what I mean? Like, if she knows, what's the background of her look like? And again, this would require further analysis. And the reason I'll say it requires further analysis is because it's the same thing when the FBI came after me. I had a picture of the Punisher skull that happened to have the Roman numeral 3 on it. One picture out of thousands of pictures, and they wanted to say, oh, he's adherent to 3%ers. And so I'm not going to sit here and deploy that against Graham, but I will weigh it differently because this is not a social media picture. This is a tattoo. And the reasonable person's expectation is that when you go to permanently put something on your body, that you have an understanding of what it is. But again, there's an assumption that's being made there, and I'll concede that argument as well. But I would go and I would start looking at some of the other surrounding information that he has there. And I would imagine there's probably not a whole lot, because if there was, it probably would have surfaced already. So it literally is going to come down to, did he know, and do we trust her statement that he knew about it? But now you go and you tack on this other stuff, and it is what it is. And again, I do weigh the fact that people like Rokan and all them were sitting there defending this guy back then. If the Democratic establishment wanted to bury him, that was an opportunity for them to bury him. So I don't think that the Democratic machine is coming after him, because they could have done it then, and they didn't. They got behind him. They protected him. Now that they're doing it, they don't have a choice because they're the ones that created the storm of sexual assaults that are alleged by women. So now if they don't go in and hang this dude out to dry, they look more worse than they already have.
Are you putting Ro Khanna in the Democratic establishment?
Hell yeah, I am.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you
Well,
put
you're
every
gonna tell me that because he has okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Do you put every Democrat in the Democrat establishment?
No.
Okay, what Democrats are not in the Democrat establishment?
I won't say which ones aren't. I'll say which ones that are because that it's easier because there's fewer.
No. I need to know which ones specifically aren't.
I would say the squad. The squad is not a part of the establishment. So everyone that was a part of the squad, I would say they're not. I would say Fetterman, freaking Uncle Fester, he's not.
He's controlled opposition.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I would say the power hitters that are in the Democratic establishment, those are the ones that dictate the path of where everybody's going. The same thing applies to the GOP. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are going to go along with the GOP, but I don't consider them the establishment. They're just leveraged out. Like it's either you're going to do this, you're going to get pushed out, or whatever they found against you is going to get weaponized against you. But there's an apparatus that exists within the DNC, just like the GOP, who are going to control the direction. That apparatus on the DNC got behind Platner when the tattoo surfaced. And that's what I'm saying. If they truly, I would subscribe to your idea more if they would have came after him, during the tattoo one and it didn't work, then I would have been like, hey, you know what? I think your theory is more plausible because there's evidence that they did try to get rid of him once already and it didn't work. But that's not the case, man. They got behind him. They protected him.
You completely missed my point on this, though, that the NRSC versus FEC is giving the Democrats, both parties, the Republicans have it too, the power to determine who the candidate is, regardless of anything.
We agree completely on that.
And this is the first example of this, and they haven't even fully realized that power because Democrats are punching from behind right now. They're way behind in funding because of the Act Blue stuff.
And here's the thing. He was probably promised a whole lot of shit, and now he's just like, oh, I'm going down. The ship's going down with me, and he'll make that statement. That let me tell you what's going on. I don't doubt that.
Man, you got a lot of people in the chat, Alpha, that look at an 8-second clip of two guys saying the same thing, denying something.
It's not 8 seconds. It's half a minute.
It's 30 seconds. You said it was 30 seconds.
It's half a minute.
And it's two people. It's divided by two, so 15 seconds. So 15 seconds each of people saying the same thing, denying an allegation. There's no substance there. There's just them denying an allegation.
There's rhythm. There's tone. There's a lot that goes into that. It's a coach position.
It's reading a speech. All right. So here's what they said in response to this. So the Maine Democrat said, while Platner campaign remains focused on distracting from the job of defeating Susan Collins in November with these false accusations against us, the Maine Democrat Party remains hyper-focused on developing a representative, transparent, and inclusive process to select a new nominee when he chooses to withdraw from the race. While we may be frustrated with Platner's continued efforts to manipulate this process, we are so thankful for his supporters and all the other efforts to defeat Susan Collins. They are a vital part of our party and deserve to participate in an open process to select Platner's replacement. You think they're going to Kamala him and just throw somebody in there?
Probably. It just, they're going to have to throw someone in significant.
Well, they got a Maine brewery owner, former lawyer, Dan Kleben, who they say he aligns. Now, this one, Alpha, I would go much more with your Swalwell comparison here. The Hill says Kleben's a Maine beer company in Freeport. He suspended his campaign last October and endorsed Janet Mills, the establishment, kind of long-term sitting governor. I spent years talking to Mainers over a beer in our tap room. That's straight out of Obama, or who was it that said, I'd like to have a beer with them? Elizabeth Warren. Would you like a beer, honey? Remember that?
You don't want me to comment.
And throughout the community, we're all sick and tired of a system that's been rigged by corporate interests, and we've had enough meddling from Washington establishment insiders and New York City consultants trying to dictate who represents us. It's time for a new generation, one that's not beholden to the establishment, that has failed us time and time again. Other replacements include Maine Senate President Troy Jackson, CDC Director, Maine CDC Director Nirav Shah, ACLU Executive Director Shenna Bellows, and Jordan Wood, the former chief of staff to your very own Katie Porter. So Collagen is now rebranding himself, and I don't know Maine politics. I don't know one way or the other, but he's rebranding himself as what Platner was branded as, whether it's genuine or not, while at the same time, when he had the opportunity to do something heroic, when he dropped out and backed the quote-unquote populist candidate, he went for Mills. So I don't know. We'll land that there, unless you want to add. I know you want to add something. Yeah, I can see the look in your face. No, do it. Do it.
No, because it's going to set you off. I already know.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Set me off. I want the chat to hate me even more because I don't agree with your propaganda.
You're going to yell at me in the audience for an 8-second clip, but you're going to take a single quote and compare it to Obama?
Oh, no. That's I mean, that's the quote that they're putting out there.
It's one quote.
Yeah, but you're reading a cookie cutter apology, and
you're just reading one quote from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Hypocrite.
Of him rebranding himself, announcing that he's right. It's his post. It's Cleben's post. What's that?
Hypocrite.
Do I need to put here Collagen wrote in a post? Do I need to say that? That's his statement.
You saying he wrote that is the same thing as me saying that Platner made that statement in that video.
He did make
one's verbal, one's written. What's the difference? It's still an excerpt.
No, that's the entirety of his post. That's a whole post. I read the whole thing. You didn't play the whole Platner speech.
But that one part of his post doesn't, it's still, one post isn't a full context.
No, it's not. I'm what?
That's what I'm saying. Just because he makes that statement, we don't know how he feels about something. You know what I mean? It's just a post.
Do we have to do a background now on every single quote I read on Daily?
No, we don't. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh man,
Alpha trolling Brian is my kind of. I'm not trolling him. I love Brian.
You got a knack for propaganda right now. So yeah, maybe we should get into that about you calling me out, saying I'm flipping out over the bullet that was found yesterday.
You were.
I was.
Hey, you were, and I right after that, I also said make sure you go and subscribe and support my boy too. For the record,
that is true. Read my post.
An unspent round was discovered on another building, and the lead investigator doesn't know the caliber of the unspent cartridge.
Where's the flip out there? That is literally just a factual representation of what took place.
I didn't even see the post. I was talking about in your video, in your show.
What about my video?
In your show, when you were talking about it, you were,
when I said I'd like to know details, how do you not know details about that?
It's how you said it. It's how you said it. Go find the clip.
By the way, just throwing this out there, Alpha. Do you remember our show with Zeb Boykin? Where we said the one building where they found that round is the only other building that there could have been a shot taken from. You and I did. I have the clip. You want me to play the clip? You know who else? You know who else said that was the building that a shot would have to be taken from, and actually went out there and did work on it? Your boy over.
We're talking about the building to the right of them.
No, hold on. Now I got to show you.
Yeah, there was a building that we said, oh, here, but then when we went to the other angle of it, the tree line was in the way. So we're like, oh, it wasn't that one. So I don't know if you're referencing that part.
We're looking at
big white building to your right, bottom right.
So the audience knows.
No.
Here's the hole down here, and then here's the location of the alleged shooter, and we're talking about
this building right here.
Here, I'll turn it around so I could change the heading.
You have an audio issue is the problem. Your audio. Yeah. So your shot and report doesn't allow for that far of a shot. Unless it's flying like 6,000
I
FPS per
can't
second.
understand.
Yeah, you can't. You just can't.
Because I
Do
was
it.
telling Canncon
That was the building that you and I both were like, that's the only building where he would have a clear line of sight.
on top of that terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
there's no
what-
line of sight. Remember when we went to the edge of it? Because remember, there's a 3D image. I want to say it was with him because I know we did it on another show, but I want to say it was him that had the 3D image, or was that the other guy?
No, that
One
was
of
you.
them.
That was you and me. You and me did that after a daily episode. We didn't record it, and it was when we found out that Boone passed away. We were doing it.
Oh, okay, because I remember when we went to the 3D image, it was like, oh, okay, the line of sight doesn't exist there.
No, I did. So yesterday, when we found out where that bullet was recovered at, I went and looked where that building was, and I was like, holy shit, what are the odds that it's the only building that me, Ash, and what's the guy with Paramount Tactical? What's his name? Gary. Yeah. The three of us all on our own came to the conclusion that that would be where a shot was taken from if it wasn't from the Losi building. And we found an unspent cartridge. By the way, I know you covered this and you were patting yourself on the back really, really hard. But did you pick up on what was not said during that? Do you know what officer ejected the round?
They said the name of the officer that collected it.
They found it. They didn't collect it, found it.
Right.
SBI Dan Schneider.
Right.
Found it. We have no accountability for who the round belonged to.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is true.
No, he's the one that said, because she said, when she questioned him, if she said that Snyder is the one that talked to the officer that ejected the round.
He said he found the round. Snyder was the one that found the round and it was accounted for. It doesn't say who. Hold on,
that's what I'm saying. If he says it's accounted for, the only way you can account for it is to know that it's origination.
Yeah. But so we don't know. Now, again, to be fair, defense hasn't crossed him yet. And I'm sure that potentially that'll come up and cross. We don't know what officer, ejected it. The explanation we got from Hull the day before about going car ready is out the window because it was on a rooftop. There's no need to go car ready at that point. So,
well, not necessarily. So, and again, you can't speak for everybody. So, car ready is a standard practice. He's right about that. But not everybody runs car ready. So there's policy and then there's actual practical application. And because of a lot of things and videos that we've seen, there's a lot of guys that run hot, because listen, I'll take the ride up rather, it's the whole, carried by 6 or judged by 12 instead of carried by 6. I'll take the ride up. So even though policy says car ready, which is a loaded magazine but an empty chamber for those that don't understand that, and hot is a loaded magazine with one in the chamber and the safety on. I just want to make sure everybody's up to speed on that. Is you do that now because of that. A lot of times when guys are going, especially if something dynamic really happens, you pop out. And I know because I've done it. Because sometimes there's like I said, there's a lot of variables that go into this, and it's a lot of assumptions being made. I want to be very clear about that. But a lot of times we'll go into a scene. Let's say we're tracking a suspect that went through a golf course or something, right? And I have my rifle, and there's a brief moment or a lull in the action where I could take a pause, and I'm just like, hey, if somebody else used my car, did they make my shit? Is it car ready? Is it that condition instead of being hot? So I'll rack the rifle, and if it's hot the way it's supposed to be, then the one round's going to eject, and then I'm just going to keep moving because I'm not going to sit there in a dynamic situation to look for my round. That's very common, actually. Now,
more common than a brass check where you don't eject the round, you just give it a little rack, and you're like, okay, we're good.
Again, you're talking about and that's why I said, and that's why when I text you, it really depends on the dynamics.
Yeah.
If in a situation where they're still handling it, is there other shooters and stuff like that? No, I don't. If it's something that's more static, then I would agree with you. A quick little brass check, or even if it does eject, well, now you can kind of look for it, find it, and then, drop it in your cargo pocket. So it just, to me, it really depends on that scenario. But I don't think that the defense is going to cross-examine on that question. And the reason being is because, and this goes into a whole, we could talk about this if we ever do a debrief for the prelim, which I imagine we probably will, but just He knew that this was my whole point, because there was, and I'm not just you, but there was so many people panicking on social media. It's a cover up. Oh my God, it's a cover up. I'm like, no, it's not. How do you think she knows about it? Because it's in a police report. So if it's in a police report, that's kind of the worst cover up you could ever do, which means she also knew what caliber it was.
Perhaps.
And so no, she knows because it's documented in the police report. So when she goes, is it a 30-06? Why does she do that? Because the whole point is she knows that there's an audience that's watching and listening, the general public, that's going to run with that. Oh my God. And by the time the record gets corrected, it's already too late because the things took off like a forest fire.
And my post said nothing about a 30-06. I've never mentioned 30-06.
I didn't say you did.
I know, but you categorized me with people that were flipping out, and I think I've kept a pretty level head.
I'm gonna go find your clip.
You are more than
oh my God, what?
It absolutely that both investigators should absolutely know about that situation.
No,
absolutely.
No,
yes.
let me tell you why.
That's not flipping out. That's just being
and I'm not gonna fault you. I'm gonna give you the same.
Also, the guy got a whole day going back to what's our good friend there in Maricopa County, Scott Jarrett, got a whole day meetings with the prosecution. Hey, you have to know all about this tomorrow. So they brought it up.
They're gonna focus on the things that are relevant. That the bullet on the roof is completely irrelevant. It's here's the point that I was trying to make is
not completely irrelevant.
It is. He is. And I'll explain why, because it's important. It's one, he's the case agent, and we're talking about SBSI Agent Hall. Is it Hall or Hole? Because I keep saying both.
Hole.
Okay, so SBI Agent Hole. He's the case agent. So for those that don't know, that means he's the one he gets to stay in the courtroom the whole time. So every other officer that you're going to see testify, they got to go up testify, and they got to leave the courtroom. They can't be in there. So the case agent is the one that gets to be right there at the table of prosecution during the entire time. They're also the ones that are, if it ever comes down to a jury trial, they'll help with the selection of that. But again, to the point, when you have a murder case, and it doesn't even have to be this high profile. We'll just go to a general homicide that I would have been a part of, like just some gang member gets dumped, right? You're gonna have at a minimum 20 supplemental reports at a minimum. Your chances are you're going to have way more than that. So you're going to have your original crime report and all these supplemental reports. It is impossible as the case agent to know the contents of every single one of those subs. So when you're debriefing this and you have the crime scene, the murder weapon, the point of entry, the point of exit, you have the things that are important. These are the elements of that case. Now, during that, you're going to have, your patrol guys that while they're searching the house, they'll find, something that's like, oh, is this relevant? And so they'll go and they'll either collect it, they'll document it, they'll book it. And then when we get to debriefing time, we're like, no, that's nothing. So you're going to have this thing that they have it booked as evidence, but it's completely irrelevant. So I'm not going to continue studying into it because it doesn't matter to the case. So then if we go to court, and this is the thing, defense attorneys, these are classic moves. They're going to bring up, because then you would be like, well, why would a defense attorney question you on that? Because the whole point of the defense is, and this is where people get things wrong, it's not to prove the innocence of their client. That's what everybody thinks. It's not. Proving innocence doesn't get a jury to vote not guilty. It's creating reasonable doubt. That's where you win the case. And so if a defense can strategically target certain parts of the investigation report, that's what they're going to highlight. If somebody uses PM instead of AM, just a clerical error, but you're going to see them lead up to this. And that's why I'm going to give everybody, since we got 2 more days, right, of watching this, these are the things you got to listen to, especially when going to a trial. When you hear a defense attorney say, so, the Detective Lupo, when you write these police reports, you write them to be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, right? You're going to respond, yes. So, Detective Lupo, you understand the level of importance with your report to recall the facts of this case. You're going to say yes. And so you review your reports, Detective Lupo, to make sure that they're true and accurate. And you're going to say yes. And she's going to get you to say yes 4 or 5 times. And then she's going to hit you with, well, here on page 21, paragraph 4 on line 2, you said that this took place at the Circle K. And isn't it true that this was an AM PM? And you're going to be like, yes, that's an error. Then she's going to follow up this statement. Guarantee you 100%. What other errors exist in your report? Why? It's completely a simple, easy error, right? It's a clerical error, but it's going to create doubt that's seated in that jury. Why? Because later on, when she goes to hammer a point that is relevant, that's when they're going to say, you know, you've seen errors in the report, mistakes by the detectives. That's what this is all about. And so in this case with the 30-06, you'll probably see her readdress it if this was a trial, a closing argument with the jury.
Magistrate, not a jury.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was in the trial, you would hear her probably in the closing arguments. And remember, there was evidence of a bullet on another roof that the case agent didn't even know about when I questioned him about it. That's how it's going to get sold, when the reality is it's in a location that doesn't have a line of sight to Charlie. So it's completely irrelevant.
Yes,
and,
it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. You and I both agreed on it a week after, looked at 3
and then we
models and all agreed on it.
And then we further looked into it. That's why I was bringing up the 3D part that we went over, and you couldn't take a shot from there. There's only 2 places you could take the shot and actually have a line of sight. It's where the suspect was, or to the building to the immediate right, where, you know, it was high. But again, that it's too close, and that angle, you would have had a different impact. It would have been on his right side versus his left side. But again, that's the only other place where you had a line of sight. But again, and like I said, well, I'm sure we're going to do a breakdown of the prelim, and we can talk about this at length. But there's a lot of things that are very normal to a case, that people are like, oh, this translates to this, or this translates to that.
That's where we both theorized the shot would have been taken from, if not from that low C building. It's kind of significant that a round was found there. I would like to know the officer.
The round wasn't found right there.
No, on that building on the far east side, which is exactly where that
but
is.
we're talking about that terrace.
No, so you know what happens? You eject a round from on top of that terrace, it rolls down, and you lose it on the roof. You don't know where it's at.
It's going to still be in the vicinity of the terrace, though, not on the completely opposite side of the building.
You're not going to spend all day looking for that. You're booking it out of there. I don't know. Just it doesn't.
Well, first of all, a 223 doesn't sound like what we heard. That was not a 223 round. That was not a rifle. That was not a 5.56.
Excuse me. My compensated 223 sounds louder than a 30-06. I told you last time I went shooting the weekend before my stepdad.
Let me ask you this. I'll agree with you on that. If you are a professional sniper that's going to use another guy as your patsy, are you going to use a weapon system that has a compensator that's louder than the weapon system that's being used by the patsy? No.
No, but comparable.
No, you're going to use something that's suppressed. The whole point is you being covert. If we're going to say that it's an actual professional
report, you have to have a report.
Yes, but the point I'm trying to make is it's still going to be a very lighter sound that most people, if they don't know what they're listening for, they're not going to hear it. And what I'm saying is we hear a distinct rifle shot, not a suppressed rifle shot, not a rifle shot that's amplified by a compensator. We hear a very distinct rifle shot. What I'm saying is, if we're going to go with the theory that there's a second shooter from a concealed position, then we're going to talk about a weapon system that's going to have a suppressor on it. It absolutely is going to have a suppressor on it.
Most likely.
Well, because if not, then we're going to hear 2 rifles.
We'll have a debrief. We won't be talking about it on SitRep. I saw somebody in the chat say it's going to be all over. We have a guest on SitRep tonight, and we're going to talk about we got a friend of ours. Well, kind of a friend's dad that's going to be joining us. I don't even know if I filled Alpha in on this yet. I have not. So there you go. So we will not be talking about this. So you're only getting it here right now.
Make sure you're following Cancon's YouTube channel, because I imagine we're going to do a debrief I thought we were going to do it yesterday, but I never got the call from you. So
Yesterday was it was eventful. By the way, the stern objections to the confession is a Sixth Amendment violation. The defense is absolutely right, standing on that through and through. Don't get too excited about that. It's a Sixth Amendment violation. If he's not there physically, if he's not,
relax. I agree with you. I said the same thing on my show.
Well, he has to be present in the courtroom for you to cross-examine him, and that's why.
Not for a prelim.
No,
but I agree with you on the same grounds that this does unduly influence the audience.
Yes.
On that. I said that on my show last night. I said, listen, you guys know, I'm not backing these guys up, but the argument that the defense made with regards to this is legitimate. It's a legitimate argument, and I agree. I want to hear it just as much. But again, we also know. Well, I shouldn't say we know, but we can definitely speculate that because there's the text message, and again, we were right way back then when the charging documents came out and said, hey, there's going to be more. Because for those that don't know, charging documents, the prosecution or the law enforcement, we're only going to do just above the bare minimum to the bare minimum, because you're not trying to reveal your case to the defense. You're just revealing enough to show to the judge that's reviewing it that, hey, probable cause exists. So make sure you keep this dude in jail. Because if you don't meet the elements of the crimes that you're charging, a judge will let your guy go from jail. And you're going to be like, hey, why did so-and-so get released? So again, it's the minimum. So there's obviously going to be more. And those text messages from the charging documents, those are bad. You know what I mean? If I can get back to the rifle, I mean, those are bad statements, and those are already public. So I'm very curious
Hold on, just gonna throw this out there, and this might be where the defense is going with this. Remember Noble's testimony about the car and the bald guy and the three others in the car?
Mm-hmm.
What was the other thing that Hull had said they used to verify that Robinson was in that vicinity? Because they don't have evidence of him being in the vicinity.
The officer who got the partial plate during the contact.
No, that's a different engagement. This was in front of Noble's house.
They still use that to verify him being at the campus the fourth time.
Yeah, but that was way earlier in the evening. This was at 12:30. I think the cops was at like 8:30 p.m. I think when they saw him.
It was nighttime. I don't know.
It was when he was making that right-hand turn, and then he decided to go straight instead. Yeah, it was dark out, but it wasn't 12:30. It was I think they said it was like 8:30. The 12:30 part was the guy, and I don't know what time the text messages are stamped at, but they have no evidence that Robinson was there either. They have testimony that it was a bald guy and three others in the car, but Robinson's phone was in that vicinity. So again, I'm just, all they're doing is trying to create reasonable doubt here.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and here's the thing with and I see people running with this car had three people. It may have. That's what a witness is reporting. But again, as a detective or a case agent, these things is you also have to find information to corroborate what witnesses are saying, because perception matters. I'll tell you, folks, I've gone to a homicide. I speak to 4 people that were there at the scene. What color was the car? Right? Because we're looking for them.
Colors,
yeah. And one of them's like, it's green. The other one's like, it's blue. And none of them are lying. It's just, it has to do with perception. One's closer to the vehicle and actually saw the color of the vehicle. The other person's from a distance, and the vehicle is under an amber street light, and that changes the color to them. So again, you have to find information to corroborate what these people see. Again, do you wear glasses at night? Can you read? And these are the questions good detectives will ask during those interviews of witnesses. And like I said, we'll learn more if it ever goes to trial. I don't think it's going to trial. That's my speculation now, entering day 4. I can change that, but as it stands now, I don't think this is going to go to trial. I think we're going to get a plea before the trial starts.
I'll reserve my judgment for the ATF agents that they're going to bring, and then I'll tell you one way or the other. Because if it doesn't go to trial, I think it goes to trial because they don't have probable cause.
Something I'm very curious to see, if they're going to bring this up. If this gets brought up, I'll bet $1 million this ain't going to trial. If it doesn't get brought up, maybe I'm 50-50. But and because you brought up ATF agents, one of the things when a weapon system is used in a crime, and you're saying that this is in Tyler Robinson, this is the rifle that he used to kill Charlie Kirk. Well, you'll have the ATF agent that comes and will testify to a functions check of that weapon. Because how do we know that rifle is operating? And the ATF agent will come in, he'll give the whole nomenclature of the weapon, but ultimately he's going to get to the part where, I went, made sure it was clear, pulled the trigger operated, then went, put a device, because it's a bolt action rifle, put a device in there to make sure that the bolt functions correctly when it's I can't think of the word anymore, but when it's chambered the proper way, and he'll do that. If they do that in the prelim, this is not going to trial. Like I got $1 million, it's not going to trial. If they don't do it, and then the 50-50, probably going to trial. But if they do that, Brian, if they do that in prelim, this isn't going to trial. Mark my words.
All right, we're going to actually get back to real news, as everybody says. I don't know how this isn't news, but also me and Alpha could talk about this for probably another 2 or 3 hours at least. Guys, we hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part that most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your own money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today, and everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started still feels kind of complicated. That's exactly why we use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want, whether it's Bitcoin, dollar-backed stable coins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, bank, and support your favorite Rumblers like us directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code, click the link in the description, and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and boom, you are in the game. In just a few minutes, you go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. And then, guys, this episode is also brought to you by, why is that not working there? Sorry. Crap. There we go. This episode is also brought to you by Native Path Collagen, grass-fed collagen for better bones, joints, skin, hair, and nails. Here's something that genuinely surprised me. Calcium supplements, the one that millions of people take for bone health and may not be doing much at all, because bones are 90% collagen, not calcium. Without the collagen scaffold to attach the calcium, it has nowhere to go. That is where today's sponsor comes in. After 30, our bodies produce 1% to 2% less collagen every single year. That's the protein that keeps our bones dense, our joints cushioned, and our skin firm. By 60, most people have lost half of their collagen, and it's nearly impossible to get it back through diet alone, because it lives in the parts of the animals that we don't eat, the bones, the cartilage, and the tendons. I eat those, but most people don't. I'm just kidding. I don't. Native Path grass-fed collagen is a clean grass-fed type 1 and 3 collagen that dissolves and completely in coffee or water with no taste, no clumping. Thousands of customers report less joint pain, stronger nails, younger looking skin, better sleep, and even improved bone density scans. For our special offer and free shipping, head to getnativepath.com/badlands. That's GETNATIVEPATH.com/badlands. And you can try it risk-free with a 365-day money-back guarantee. All right. Let's get back into the news. Alpha, I'm sure you'll love this little post here from Director Kash Patel. 113 active spies from foreign countries arrested. Counter intel arrests jumped 53%. 4,800 cartel arrests and 850 active plotters stopped. 77% surge in cyber indictments. The FBI is doing work.
He did a video a couple days ago, just similar to that one, but dude, it was pretty. I was like, almost. It was like, should I apply? Did I apply? No, those days are done. My body hurts too much. But I'll tell you what, man, their recruiting propaganda is dialed in. I'm not gonna lie, man, it's dialed in.
Told you.
It is nice I mean, that's a big deal, man. The cartel arrests, that's a big deal.
That's huge, especially considering that's the direction that Trump, has been trying to take things. And then we got one last story on the domestic side. This one's your boy out there in California, Gavin Newsom.
Labor Department recovered more than $512 million in fraudulent unemployment claims related to the CARES Act back to the Treasury Department. This is the second major recovery from the Maryland Division of Unemployment Insurance, now totaling more than $1 billion. Inspector, tell us more about this. How did this happen?
Yeah, listen, it's great work. Again, I am blessed to be able to work with amazing people, auditors, investigators, administrators who have been working night and day and have been all in on this effort to root out fraud.
Wait, this wasn't the story. Or does it evolve into that? Yeah, it is a story. I apologize.
That President Trump has put forth. And this was a huge undertaking. And I think what's critical about this is not just the identification of the money, but the fact that because of Vice President J.D. Vance's fraud task force, we were able to work together with the U.S. Treasury and claw this money back into the Treasury for the American people. I mean, there is so much money out there when it comes to fraud. And again, you look at a place like California, Gavin Newsom is $22 billion in debt to the UI Trust Fund, which means he owes over $22 billion to the American people because of money he borrowed into unemployment insurance. And quite frankly, that bill is eventually going to have to be paid. And right now, the people who are holding the bag are the business owners in California. You take a place like New York, my hometown, your hometown. I mean, the state of New York is losing between 1.5 and $2 million per day in either overpayments or fraud. That's per day, not per week, not per month, not per year. Almost $2 million per day. So next week, we're going to have a strike team heading into New York to start reviewing all of this documents so that we can make sure that the money is kept for the American people.
Well,
$22 billion. And I'm pretty sure, let me check this real quick, but I'm pretty sure that is the only state that actually owes the federal government on unemployment insurance. That like they're in debt to the U.S. What are you doing out there, bro?
I'm listening.
Catching that? No, I'm talking about in California. I'm not talking about like where you're at right now.
Oh, just gonna enjoy watching the crime family, the Pelosi Newsom cartel family collapse and watch this state prosper again. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, you still got fake elections, but don't worry, Alpha. Don't worry.
We don't have fake elections in California. We do have stolen ones.
If they're stolen, they're fake by definition. Don't worry though. You guys are getting election monitors out there. I'm not even going to play this. It's so Harmeet Dillon talking about sending election monitors out there. And of course, people are going to be like, depending on what side of the tribe you're on. Yeah, that's great. We're sending monitors out there. Or they're going to be like, the federal government is overreaching into our elections and blah, blah, blah. Guys, the monitors ain't going to do nothing. They're not going to do nothing. They're going to make sure there aren't long lines, and that's about it.
They are part of the process that Trump is doing his due diligence before he enacts a national emergency.
We've had election monitors at elections for years and years and years and years. I mean, is there a possibility? Sure. Fraud is not happening at the polls like themselves. The fraud is, especially in California, the fraud is being exposed on Skid Row with the NGOs registering them. The fraud is being discovered with ballots that are dropped off at homeless shelters and filled out by thousands and thousands of people. And the fraud is inside of the black box voting machines that no election monitor is going to be able to look into. But hey, I'm all for it, man. If that's the plan, then let's go with the plan.
It's going to be rock and roll time in California, baby.
I'm starting to get a little bit nervous here because we are 118 days.
I'm fired up.
I know you're always fired up. You're always fired up.
Yeah, I'm always fired up, man. This president hasn't given us a reason to not trust him.
Oh, I said nothing about the president. That doesn't mean that there's people that are working subordinates that are not. And I'm not saying that they're bad actors. I'm just saying that they're just
absolutely bad actors.
Well, we know that. Did you see the Axios piece about the Deputy Secretary of State.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me pull this up first real quick. U.S. CENTCOM at the direction of Commander-in-Chief. CENTCOM forces have started conducting additional strikes against Iran to further degrade their ability to threaten freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States is holding Iran accountable for recent unjustified aggression against commercial shipping and civilian crews freely navigating a vital international waterway. I wonder how many times we've gone through this cycle now at this point. This is like even when you think it's going to be done, it's just like whoosh, rugged again. President Trump truthed out, this is in retribution for yesterday's bombing of ships by Iran. If it happens again, it will get much worse. And then CENTCOM put out some unclassified video footage of the bombings. And there you go. We got some gun cams from drones, I guess, Reapers. Predator drones. Yeah. We need some music, man.
Yeah, some music with him.
Like, hey guys, next one that you put out, can we get like an AC/DC track or something over it?
No, it has to be not copyrighted. That way we can play it on YouTube.
Okay, not copyrighted, but like
give us the badass knockoff version of AC/DC.
Hold on. I got it. Let's go back. All right, I'm going full warmonger again. What's up?
I said I'm all for that.
I still think I'm with the theory that we're just hitting old targets over again and just showing force. And President Trump came out and basically says that now, because of this, Iran is crawling back, begging for mercy.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because they're sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of control, but they want to make a deal badly.
He was trying to think of a way to say something that he probably shouldn't say, and when he realized there was not a good way to say it, he goes, "I'm just gonna say they're crazy." I think he is hitting old targets, but I also think he's hitting some deep state targets. I think he's getting information from where these operatives are operating out of, and he's hitting them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is like the other thing that's interesting, because when you bring that up, right? And you saw what Ghost was talking about last week, the last time they hit the ships, about the Ever Lovely or whatever.
Evergreen, whatever. Yeah.
Well, it was an Evergreen ship, but it was called like the Ever Lively or the Ever Lovely, one of the others.
It was lovely.
When you hear the story of how that happened, 5 ships that were navigating an unauthorized route through the strait, told to turn back. 5 of them did. One of them turned off their transponder and, went Leroy Jenkins. I wonder, you hear the same thing about these 3 ships, because they said, an earlier report I was listening to, I think it was on Fox. They're like, 2 of the ships turned around. One of them kept going. Okay, well, if you keep going and you're on an unauthorized route and the Navy that's in charge of that particular area gives you ample warning. I mean, there's ROEs, rules of engagement, right? We remember them, pen flare, regular flare, lift your rifle, warning shot into the block. And then if that doesn't work, take them out. You got to wonder, like, are these ships that are in like deliberately violating the agreements between Iran and the U.S. that these are the designated shipping lanes, and you're going outside of those shipping lanes. And there's reasons, like nobody's dying from these. These ships aren't being sunk, but there's reasons that you don't go outside the shipping lanes. In addition to diplomatic and political reasons, you don't want to run aground in an oil tanker, right? You run aground in an oil tanker, you run into another ship, that's a fishing boat, something like that. Put a hole in the hull of that, and you destroy the entire strait with, a million barrels of oil. So I'm wondering, if these are just in that same category as what we would speculate Evergreen represents.
Guys, I mean, it's unlimited when it comes to the theories. Is this a way of identifying certain ships? You get, 3 or 4 ships to go out there, and the ones that are normal ships say, "Oh, we better turn around." And now you get to ask, why isn't that one turning around? What is on that cargo?
That's also very interesting. Yeah. And if they are hitting old targets and targets of opportunity for in that regard, yeah, I can get behind that. This was a very interesting story here. President Trump, to honor our brave men and women of the military, we are sending the brand new and truly spectacular Air Force One to Mildenhall Air Force Base in the UK to give them a chance to tour the aircraft. Everybody is so excited, and we thought that they should be the first. For old time's sake, we'll be taking the former Air Force One from Turkey to Mildenhall, a short trip that is totally worth doing in order to give our great military heroes a chance to appreciate our beautiful new addition to the Air Force fleet, President Donald J. Trump. And then he actually had to address these concerns because a lot of people were asking him about it, apparently.
Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with
Well, I speak about it a lot because, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 1/10 of 1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10 of 1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me. You're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on. I like being number one on TikTok better, but I'm number one on the list for killing. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe, to one of the big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases where we can show it to the people. And we'll be going home by normal methods. But we have it going to Europe to a couple of bases, actually one in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases, stop, so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent. Yep.
I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was weird. He came out and he addressed it with the Post fairly quick prior to that. So, I mean, is it believable? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the last time we had Air Force One was before our time. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can really gauge precedent on sharing things with it. So it seemed, I'll just say that it seems odd. It did seem odd and weird. But then again, if there was a legitimate threat that they were that concerned with that he's not going to be in Air Force One, I don't even think he completes the trip. So, and he still did on the old Air Force One. And I would actually think the old Air Force One's compromised before I think the new one is. So I don't know. It's interesting. The when you looked up 5.2 on the boards, and we can do it on another show, we don't have to do it here. It does talk about presidential D-class. Like there's only 2 posts that populate when you look at the 5.2. But I don't know. It's weird. It just, that one was just weird.
Did you, me and Ash talk about this all the time, the playbook, as we jokingly refer to it. Have you ever seen the TV show Scandal?
Mm-mm.
So one of the episodes, it's all about DC and like a deep state that's operating against the, there's like a law firm that's working closely with the president to take out the deep state. And like, it's very prophetic. One of the episodes is Air Force 2 is hijacked by a bug. It's taken over and essentially turned into a drone, and they're going to crash it, and they have to, figure out how to hack it back. And when I think about a brand new aircraft, and after its maiden voyage, I think that was the first and only flight, right? It only had one.
He flew it to John's neck of the woods,
North Dakota, and then did they fly on it to where they were at?
Are you talking about North Dakota or to Tornado? No, they flew on to Tornado.
Okay, so they flew it over there, and then from there they fly it to Mildenhall. And he's taking the old Air Force One, which, by the way, that just happened to be there. I guess they have, they carry motorcades and all that, and another. I don't know. The whole thing's kind of strange, and the way he addresses it, it's for the troops. I mean, sure. Also, maybe it's finally being refitted with air refueling capability. Remember we were talking about that last week, that it doesn't have air to air refueling capability. Well, Mildenhall has a KC-135 Super Stratosport. What do you call them? The super tankers. They have a squadron there, and they can do refit. Maybe they're going to refit it. Let's do it. Anyways, I think that's all we've got for today. I do 141. I didn't plan on going as that quite long on some of those topics, but let's see. Anything that you think I missed out there?
I'm sure you talked about the Podesta being wired within the Newsom thing back in 2024 under Biden's administration.
So when we talk about that, you specifically called that on this show about, tickling the wire and I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but this unfolded very interestingly, and it's not done. There's going to be a lot more coming out of this. The New York Post article mentions a Republican assemblyman that's freaking out about it. And I was like, when you see them going on the record that concerned about it, like, oh, they must have thrown a really broad net. He's either signaling that there's more or he's terrified.
I don't think you're a big fan of him, Paul Sperry. But read I'll send you the link, but one of his recent articles where he's talking about Crossfire Hurricane, but Admiral Rogers coming forward, cooperating as a witness with new evidence. So new evidence. And I was like, this is getting spicy.
Are we finally getting the binders?
This is getting spicy.
Wilson, Chick, morning, Brian. Sup, Sharky? Love you both.
Ain't right.
Something to dig into regarding mortgages. See page 9 of standing challenge doc for possible later discussion. Mockingbird Properties DCAD. All right, I'll check that out. Thank you. EC was here. Turns out the best dem is the one with actual brain damage. Fetterman. Also an op.
Uncle Fester, bro. Uncle Fester.
Fetterman is saying all the things that everybody wants to hear right now, so he's their hero. The second he says something that they're like, oh my God, he's back to the brain damaged guy that was like fracking and I don't support fracking. Here it is.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand.
Yeah, that's the darling child of the Democrat Party for the Republican Party. By the way, I hate both parties, so there you go. All right, Alpha, what you got coming up, brother?
Republican baby.
God.
Hell yeah.
Are they paying you shekels for that? The Republican Party? Like
You know, if you want to send some my way, BB, I'll put some good posts out there for 7,000 shekels, baby.
I wasn't talking about
What's 7,000 shekels into USD, anyways?
I don't know, but I was talking about the RNC.
Why would they pay in shekels?
It's a joke.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood it. No, man. Hardcore Republican, MAGA Republican, baby. America first.
Well, there's a difference between a hardcore Republican and a MAGA Republican. I would say there's a huge difference.
Nope, I disagree.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What does the rainbow mean to you?
The rainbow?
Yeah.
Well, right now in the current culture,
no, I didn't. I said, what does it mean to you?
It's a symbol of God to me.
Promise from God, exactly. So just because the establishment wants to hijack my political party doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to them. It's my party. I'm a Republican. I'm MAGA, and we're going to take our shit back.
Yeah, that you're gonna have to burn it down from the inside, bro.
Yeah, we can do controlled demolition without destroying the complete
All right,
building.
that'll be another conversation. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Highly frictional, highly frictional. Sit rep will not be frictional tonight. We'll have a good time on sit rep. So tune into that at 9 p.m. Yeah, softest close. We played that earlier. You weren't here. And by the way, that was not. I have to give Alpha credit. That was not his fault. It was just a misunderstanding with the amazing Jessica Storm, who gets.
You snitched. You're
no. It was a misunderstanding.
bro.
I already said this. It wasn't her fault. She just had to remake the room.
Snitch.
She had to remake the room, and she didn't. So Jessica didn't know that I memorized by heart the URL. So when I said that, she was like, "Oh my God." She felt so bad. It was not her fault. We love Jessica. She didn't.
Listen, Badlands family. Right here. Mr. Lupo. Who in Badlands? So that was Alpha. The Cancon's a snitch.
I'm honest. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not my
snitch.
name. I am not going to deceive you guys with propaganda like calling me flipping out.
Cancon's a snitch. They pulled me in there. I'm gonna say, I didn't see nothing. Cancon's gonna be like, it was him. It was him. Oh, you crushed my soul right now, bro. You crushed my soul. I'm sorry, Jessica.
It's not her fault. She didn't do anything wrong.
You just with the bus in front of everybody.
Jessica did her job and made this show happen.
Now
People don't understand. There was just a miscommunication because she didn't know that I have to send the link to Alpha every morning because Alpha is I don't know. I don't send it to you every morning. You have it saved somewhere. But yes, we love Jessica. It's not Jessica's fault. It's Alpha's fault. Because if Alpha was here 5 minutes early, right, Devil Dog? Early is on time is late, late is unheard of.
You see me wearing PT shorts?
You guys see what happened? How many times has Alpha been late? And I'm like, Alpha, you got to be here 10 minutes early. And he actually did it for just a little while. And then it slowly started moving back to him showing up during the intro. And then all of a sudden, now he doesn't show up. And if he was here on time, we would have had this resolved.
I was here early, baby. I was here early.
I have the timestamps. I might be posting them to Twitter. You're calling me out like 3 times in the last week. Jeez, man.
Pushing that.
All right, I'll see you tonight, brother.
Yeah.
I'll see you tonight, man. What are you over there rolling your head for? Hold on, you got a second.
Day 4 of the trial, baby. Day 4 of the trial.
Yeah, although yesterday was like a half day.
Important half day, though. They covered some things that were interesting.
It was the same argument. That argument could have been made in like 3 seconds.
Well, no, but those significant things that got brought up, like for instance, some of the Candace Owens slop that was out there is Lance Twiggs never got interviewed, and we found out he got interviewed twice. It was September 12th and then on April 20th.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mention any of that stuff. I don't pay attention.
Dude, I said Candace.
I know, but I'm saying I don't pay attention, so I don't even know what slop is out there from them.
So that was pretty significant. Mike Mitchell, which is the scout friend, the one tied to Leo that helped facilitate the turning in, He gets interviewed twice. So it's, and the second time for him was when they did the 1102 on him. So there was some like interesting details that were put out there that kind of, provide clarity to other things. There was something that was, so you remember the judge originally was only going to redact I think it was like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And then he goes in and adds like another 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was probably during that hour-long 15-minute recess.
Dude, what the hell, right? I was watching Viva on that part to see. And dude, it was so funny because he's like, I gotta go pee, but I gotta be here when it starts. He's like, this thing. He's a funny guy, dude. I like Viva.
Something just jumped at me. All right, we'll see you guys later. We're keeping the audience around. We'll see you guys later.